Welcome to the Filmmaker Mixer podcast, the podcast by filmmakers for filmmakers.
This episode is sponsored by Gemini Crown Tech, software for all of your production needs. Stay tuned for more information later in the show.
Welcome back to the Filmmaker Mixer podcast. My name is Andrew Lamping, and today on the show, we have the cinematographer from the film I Really Love My Husband, Ryan Thomas. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
So for the audience who doesn't know, could you tell us a little bit about the film and how you got involved with the project?
Sure. So the feature film, we just premiered at South by Southwest. It was last month. And it's about a couple. They go on their honeymoon and they end up in a threesome with their Airbnb host, basically. So kind of dramedy, dark comedy. And so I got involved with the project with the director, Gigi Hawkins. I've known her since like maybe kindergarten, first grade, something like
Okay.
that, for a really long time. She was my sister's like best friend growing up. And yeah, and so we reconnected. She kind of had a previous career in podcasts and other things, and so she started getting into film. She knew that I was living in LA, that I was working in film, and yeah, so we reconnected, and we did, I think, like maybe four or five like short films together, just like little projects. And yeah, and then one day she was like, "Hey, I have an idea for a feature, but we would have to shoot it in." Uh, well, it would be in Panama and it would be like in 4 months. And I
Oh,
haven't written a script yet, but I've got an idea. And I was just like,
interesting.
okay, sounds good. I'm in. I'll see you there. No problem.
That's definitely more of an interesting kind of, I guess, pre-production phase. What was your
Yeah.
approach to maybe your visual approach to the film and maybe how you developed that look with the director, since maybe like you're saying the script wasn't necessarily made right away, but maybe they knew how they wanted it to look possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty impressive because she did like turn out a script pretty quick. Basically she had gone to this like a workshop with indie features or something, and they gave her this idea that like, you have to use like, what's your superpower? Like, what's the one
Hmm.
thing that you have that nobody else does? And so it was just that her stepfather, he had this house in this on this small island in Panama. The time constraint was because he was planning on selling it.
Oh, okay.
And and so she was like, "Well, I have this incredible thing, but I don't have it for much longer." And so that was, kind of got us the time constraint. And so she did, I didn't quite work things out 100% with the visuals until I had actually seen a script. But yeah, she got me a first draft, I think like within a week or 2 weeks or something. And it was very similar to what we saw, with the film. But as far as like visual, how we kind of developed the visual language of the film, it was really just like I think there was a couple things that we did. One is, I think what has kind of become common for many people is like using these kind of reference websites, things like Shot Deck,
Oh, yeah.
um, where you can search through and look for references. And what I love about that is the fact that you can just type in location,
Mm,
so you
yeah.
look for like bar, like I would go and I'd type in like bar, island, and night, and it's okay, here's a bunch of bars that are, on an island at night. And you could just kind of see, oh, okay, here's a bunch of ideas,
Hmm.
of what other people have done, and kind of pick and choose. But then I think the other thing that we did that was, just a little different and I thought very good was there's this there's this like DVD series that I bought like maybe like 15 years ago, and it's still around now as like a YouTube something you can rent or something.
Okay.
It's called Hollywood Camera Work. And it's a series of like videos about blocking and staging. And so basically, I think the guy who made the series is called Per Holmes or something. And so he just goes through like, here's all of the ways that you can move a camera and all
Hmm.
the places that you could put a camera, and like here's like what what emotional like what's the emotional significance of putting the camera in that place?
Okay.
And so we would watch that for an hour, and then we would shot list for like 3 hours. And it was just fun because it like gave us some ideas, and we're like, oh, really like this idea of like, using um like putting the camera higher so that we're looking down on them and the horizon is below is above their head. Just
Oh,
make
okay.
somebody feel like they're very in thought, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And we're like, okay, great. How do we like work this into the film? Maybe that's good for like these scenes or something like that. So yeah, just like trying to, use that to get some ideas and go from there. So
Okay. And like maybe when you first read the script, I'm curious what your initial thoughts are and what stuck out to you right away. If there were certain scenes or moments that you thought, oh, this is going to be so fun to work out, or maybe the opposite, this is so complex. I know there's a way to do it, but I just don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet.
I mean, I guess two things with that. One is just it was like well, my first thought was, whoa, the script is good, actually.
Hmm.
So often you read a script and you're like, uh-oh, how are we going to fix this?
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, okay, we've got a very good base. And then the other thing is, I mean, it's just honestly the fact that it took place on an island in Panama.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, I think when I first time I talked to her, I was asking about, I was like, oh, well, we'll take the truck and, you know, do something with it. And she was like, oh, wait, just to be clear, there's no roads on the island. There's like everybody
Okay.
gets everywhere by boat,
Oh,
So
water and cameras
yes,
always make a great mix.
always make a great mix, absolutely. So that just like I was like, okay, this is very different from what I'm used to, like shooting things in LA. That was like I'm like, okay, we'll figure that out. The other thing that was really fun is there's this whole like um they end up taking some like mushrooms uh by completely by accident,
Hmm.
and there's just like a whole sequence of them, a little bit of like a drug trip kind of thing. And I think the thing with that I thought was very interesting was like, okay, here's like a really fun opportunity to do something very cool and interesting visually, but at the same time, like, I don't know, kind of have a few things going against us. One is the fact that like, I don't know. Normally, if you're in a place, if you're like shooting a film, you're gonna have like a couple days where you're like, okay, let's get some extra gear for
Hmm.
this one day. But it's like we can't get extra gear. We have to get it for the whole time, you
Yeah.
know? And we don't have very much money. And so
Hmm.
it's just like it's really not smart to like, spend any money on something that will only be used once.
Hmm.
You're like, okay, I need to get stuff that I can,
Yeah.
be as versatile as possible. So just like with that I thought was a great challenge was like, okay, with using the equipment that I have that I'll use for the rest of the film, how can we, still make this sequence really interesting and fun? And we ended up just like doing a lot of it through blocking and camera movement, and then also just using much wider lenses than we had used in the rest of the film. So, and then yeah, just like, there's my one of my favorite shots in the film, honestly, which kind of came out of left field for me, was just like we had a very wide, uh, maybe 15 millimeter lens on somebody, and we just slowly pan back and forth between two characters as they're
Okay.
talking.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just like, the editor put some like sound effects whooshing as we
Oh,
pan, and it just like it works. It's very fun. So.
I'm curious. Like, it sounds like maybe again like a different experience. I'm curious if you use any maybe unconventional techniques when it came to how you use the camera, maybe how you did lighting. I know on one of the movies I did recently, we literally used a whole roll of duct tape and taped a mirror to a C stand and bounced light off of it to like someone's face. Just stuff you would never know watching the film. But I'm curious if you have any stories like
Sure.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the like I'm trying to think of like if there's anything fun that we really did. I mean, one that just like always sticks out in my mind is that I had like really wanted a hazer throughout the whole film, but it
Hmm.
just like it wasn't in the budget, the thing, and we got something from Panama City, but like we tried it and it wasn't very good, and it was like really time consuming. And we were shooting at a bar that was like outside,
Hmm.
um, and we had just like it's like what the production manager's boyfriend. He came to be background,
Okay.
and so he was in the scene, and he starts smoking, and I just like set down the camera, and I was like, "Oh wait, him smoking is our hazer."
Okay.
And so like so I was like, hey, do you have enough cigarettes to keep smoking the
Or
rest of
like,
the
yeah,
night?
for, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for like 3 or 4 hours or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I could do that. I'm like, okay, great, just keep them coming.
That's funny.
So yeah, that was a good one. And I don't know, I mean, I think that honestly I feel like a lot of our uh a lot of our things was just the fact that we like didn't use lights for a lot of it, and it was a
Yeah.
lot of just like trying to figure out like how do we um like, oh, okay, the sun is doing something interesting here. We have this scene that's just one shot.
Hmm.
Let's just shoot it at this very specific time of day.
Hmm.
And so, as a result, we ended up with some things that were like very heavily like scheduled into a specific moment of the day.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. It's kind of like, I guess, again, with working probably with a lot of natural light, how you balance maybe the technical aspect with the emotional storytelling, especially
Mhm.
with a film like this. And you're saying maybe it's just time of day and knowing the locations ahead of time.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I think that for that, it was like, okay, we have these moments where um, we just like that, we're like, okay, this is an important moment in the film. We need to like make this as visually like stunning and interesting as possible. And so, like, there were some scenes where we would shoot one direction and shoot one half of the scene in the morning, and then we would come back at the end of the day and shoot the other direction at
Oh.
the end of the day.
Hmm.
Um, and there was like I think there was two scenes where we were like it was I think the last shot of the movie. We were
Okay.
like, okay, this is an important one. We should probably make this look good in every
Hmm.
direction. So we would like prioritize some things like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think other than that, like we just got really lucky with how the just like how the sun went on the island,
Hmm.
because it was like in the morning we had like backlight coming from when we're looking out at the beach. And so it's like, okay, we can look out that way. And then it was also December or September or something, and so the sun was always pretty low. But then the beach ended up in full shade for like the last half of the day. So
Okay.
it was like after 1 o'clock, we could kind of shoot in any direction, pretty much. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
very very helpful.
like turning more towards your career, I'm curious like how you got interested in filmmaking, maybe what your background is, whether it be conventional film school or more self-taught.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of funny because I do feel like there's some conventional aspects of how I got into it. I I went to film school, but the film school that I went to was only a year long. And it was basically you like make 5 short films and then you make a feature film that they produce.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and so it's like, and you don't do anything else except for film. So,
Do you get a
um,
degree or is this just more like
n-
a,
no degree. Yeah, so
okay.
it's just kind of like a certificate program.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, But so yeah, I did that, and I mean, I did that right after high school. So I got out and I was
Okay.
like 19, and I was like, okay, I guess I like have to get a job now. Um, and so what I ended up doing, which was so great, was like I just like had friends who were doing other film projects, and so I would work on whatever they were working on, and
Hmm.
they ended up doing all the like student films for all the other like
Oh, yeah.
schools. And so it was great because then I ended up working on like, yeah, a ton of student films, um, and just like got that experience, for free, which is huge.
Is this all in
But
like LA, or is this where are you at right
this,
now?
this was in San Francisco, Bay
Okay.
Area. Yeah, so but yeah, and then I ended up doing lighting for quite a while. I worked in the Bay Area doing lighting and also worked as a camera assistant. Then I moved to LA and worked as like a gaffer and electrician and best boy in the lighting department. But I was in the union, and
Okay.
so it was great because I got to work on a bunch of like TV shows and movies and kind of, much bigger projects. But then I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago that I was like, I'm getting tired of of setting up lights. I
Yeah.
think I like need a change. So yeah, I started working as a DP, and yeah, and so just like I feel like it was just like one day I got rid of all of my free lighting t-shirts and I bought button-ups, and then I was like, okay, I'm a DP now.
So
And yeah, there
so
you
what
go.
does that look like? Do you I don't know, did you already like own a camera? Do you go out and get a camera, or like I'm curious what that kind of looks like, especially for a younger audience who maybe eventually wants to make that
Sure.
transition.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that it was pretty difficult to like make that transition, and I think that I had to be really comfortable with like knowing that I wouldn't work for a while,
Okay.
and I wouldn't be like, because I had what I think most would say would be a good job, because I was working on TV, and so I was like working maybe 8 months out of the year full time.
Hmm.
Um, and to go from that to like working, basically I just like anybody that I knew that was a director or producer, I just reached out to them, and DPs as well. And I just said, hey, like I'm, shooting more now. Like if you guys have anything, like let me know. I'm available for anything.
Hmm.
And I bought like an A7S too, I think. So, like just the cheapest camera that could that looked half decent. Yeah, and so, I just like I'd made friends over the years of, you know, truly other people that were out there that were shooting stuff. And just really looked for anybody who was like actively like, oh, they like make little short films or just like anything, so I could just keep busy. And because I think at that point I was just like, okay, I just need to like be constantly making stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think that just like, you just like tell people that you're a DP, and then you do it even if it's
Yeah.
for free.
Yeah.
And eventually people will start to hire you, and then the rates will start getting higher and the budgets will get bigger. And it's really like a long road, but it does have a general, like you're always slowly going up. So
Yeah, you kind of get out of it what you put into it to a certain degree, like you're saying.
yeah,
I'm curious, like
that's
what
for
do you
sure.
think, what would you consider maybe like your big break, or that moment where it kind of all clicked for you once you decided to go down the DP route?
I kind of feel like it was that early commercial that my DP friend recommended me for. It was like a thing for Hot Wheels.
Mm.
And so like we ended up, it was like, social media content for Hot Wheels or something.
Hmm.
But it was just like it was a regular job. Like I think we would shoot once a month or something, and it would be like 2 or 3 days of work. And it just like, getting that one job, I was like, oh, okay, like I'm maybe I can do this. Maybe I am a DP now, and it just like gave me the confidence to like, just get out there and reach out to people who were maybe doing more narrative projects or something like that. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny because I do feel like the big break or whatever. I'm like e- every year I have something where I'm like, oh, okay, this
Hmm.
is it. This is the thing that will, get me further. And honestly, like this film, I'm like that it feels like one of those things, that
Yeah.
has given me, a leg up. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like too, you've been pretty, maybe not gradually, but linearly going up. So maybe there doesn't feel like there's been a big break because it's always been, slowly
yeah.
rising to begin with. It wasn't like this big jump, but which can't it isn't a bad thing by any means. I am curious before while we have time for maybe one more question.
Hmm.
You said you've done lighting and maybe AC work as well. I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about that relationship with the gaffer and camera team when you're a DP or
Sure.
aspiring
Yeah.
DP.
Yeah, I mean, I like, I did lighting for so long, and I worked doing that for, yeah, just forever on so many different projects. And I do feel like that has helped me a lot as a DP. Just because it's like, I don't know, I hate to discount the camera side of things, but I'm like working as an operator and like working with the camera, especially on lower budget projects where maybe you have to prep the camera yourself. Like I'm just like kind of forced to learn about the camera and like how all that aspect works of it. But it's really tough to like learn that side of things with lighting unless you're on the lighting crew and you're actually doing it.
Hmm.
And so I think that doing that for so long, it just like really helped me to like know what I'm asking for, to know like the pitfalls and, like, okay, I can ask for this light over there, but then they don't have any power over there. Now they have to run power. It's just like, okay, let's do this simple, easy thing that would be much, that could be just as good. Um, and so, um, I think I don't know. I think that ultimately I had always kind of questioned my decision to like stay in lighting for so long, but ultimately I'm really happy about it just because I do think that it just like makes it so that by the crew I'm a little bit more well respected.
You have street cred. You understand the language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They're like, okay, this guy he's been doing this for a long time. He knows what he's doing. And I think that people ultimately like work harder for somebody that they respect
Hmm.
and and then ultimately get a better product. So
No, totally.
um but yeah, I mean, even for this film, like I do think that like my ability to like do lighting was so helpful because my crew was really small. I had a gaffer and a key grip and that was it.
Hmm.
Um, and we had to do like night exteriors. And so for those, like, I just be like, okay, you guys set these lights. I'm gonna go set this light, and we'll meet back after.
Yeah.
And so I just like I pitched in a lot, and I think that ultimately that made it a much better film.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. Before we wrap up this episode, I'm curious how people can maybe check out the film. I know maybe right now it's in its festival run, so I don't know if there's a website, anything like that.
Okay, so if you want to check out the movie, you can look on Instagram. I really love my husband movie uh, is our Instagram handle, and then my Instagram handle is RD Thomas. I think we're still in our festival run. I think we're playing at the Chattanooga Film Festival. We just played in Ohio at the Cinema Columbus. Um, but yeah, can check out the Instagram there and kind of see some clips and stuff from the movie.
Okay, perfect. And I know you shouted out your Instagram. I don't know if there's any other
Yeah,
way people can follow your career, if it's, you got a website, anything else, or if Instagram's the main way to do it.
I think Instagram's probably best, but yeah, I can also check out my website. It's just ryanthomasdp.com.
Perfect. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone listening has a chance to check out the film and follow your career as you go on to do other projects. So, feel free to reach back out to us if you ever, have another project that you want to promote.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
This episode is sponsored by Gemini Crown Tech, owned and operated by Stephanie Moore and Stephanie Harrison. We at Gemini Crown Tech have covered all your production management needs with our proprietary software. Please visit our website at www.geminicrowntech.com and use the code FMP for Filmmaker Mixer podcast listeners, so we know how you heard about us.
Thank you for listening to the Filmmaker Mixer podcast, a podcast created and hosted by filmmakers Jeff Stolen and Andrew Lamping, and produced by Melody Lopez.
Our theme song was composed by Stephen D. Bennett.
Make sure to follow or subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and stay tuned for future episodes.